Star Trek gives us its 800th episode. Osira eats an apple made of shit. Our good friend Kenneth Mitchell plays the greatest scientist in 3 sectors. And Star Trek pays homage to one of the greatest Christmas movies ever, Die Hard. Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc. Wait a second. We are joined with Noah Averbach-Katz today. Hello.
Hello. I can never, ever replace anyone on this podcast. So just think of me sort of as like a placeholder. That way, kind of fill in the blanks. But I feel like whenever he's on, his camera angle is like very top down. So I'm trying something new and just doing a very straight on camera angle. So giving you guys a new look for this episode.
Awesome. And we're also joined by Melissa Longo, who is replacing a direct replacement of Cirroc Lofton. No, we all know and love Melissa. Very talented, intelligent, and funny. Welcome back. And today we are doing a review of Discovery Season 3, Episode 12, There is a Tide, directed by our good friend, Mr. Jonathan Frakes. I don't know why I said that. We've never met him. But a very
I've met him. He's my friend. So I extend that. I extend it.
Is he as awesome as he... Okay, wait. Written by Kenneth Lynn. And now, okay, let's talk, because I do want to talk about Jonathan Frakes. Everybody, Cirroc Lofton was unavailable today. He can't make it. Luckily, we do have Noah today. Noah, AK, by the way. So thank you so much for joining us. We're very much looking forward to this. He plays Rin on Discovery, who is a very beloved character already in just one season. Yeah, no spoilers, but yeah.
Sorry, whoopsie.
No, it's okay. So first things first, yeah, we want to talk about Jonathan Frakes, because when I imagine him directing, I think he's like wild-eyed and excited and passionate and laughing the loudest and having the most fun. But maybe he's just like super stern and focused. What's he like on set?
I mean, definitely almost exactly like you described. He's like so gregarious. He's so big. He's also like just crazy good at it too. I think that's actually the part that like that I didn't really realize. I was talking with Mary a bunch because they had done episodes together before, and she was just, I love his episodes. I love how he directs. He sort of is the complete package as a director, because he knows all the technical stuff that I, as someone who's like has never even picked up a camera and would be afraid to break it if I got within 10 feet of it. He knows like everything about it. He knows how to like build amazing shots. He knows how to like take advice or take suggestions. He knows how to stick to his guns. And then on top of that, like he also really, I mean, this wouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, but he just really knows how to work with actors.
Yes.
He understands like how to talk to them, how to direct them. And you feel like when you're getting direction from him, you're in really good hands. And it really does feel like a dialogue, where it's like, I have this idea. Can I try this? And he's just like totally open. And then he's just like this incredible leader on set as well. He brings so much sort of like legendary status to everything, but then he really backs it up with how he treats everyone on set, how he keeps the energy super high. He's always singing these insane old show tunes which nobody knows, and so it's just like very fun, very bizarre, but it was just so much fun. And personally, like as a huge Star Trek fan, getting to work with him was like beyond this sort of dream come true.
Speaking of a dream come true.
There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cirroc Lofton.
What's up, guys?
Hey, so we just started recording a minute ago. This is Noah here. This is Cirroc.
Hi, Cirroc.
How are you?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm happy you could join us on your podcast.
Yes, I'm glad to be here. What's up, Malissa?
Hi. How are you?
So, Cirroc, you came at the perfect time, because you and I are always talking about Jonathan Frakes as a director. He directed this episode, and Noah was telling us what he's like on set while he's directing. I don't think he's ever directed any of your episodes, has he?
He's directed Deep Space Nine episodes, but
Yeah.
he, I've been there when he's directed, and he's a really fun guy to be around because he's so charming. He's such a stud, and he has a really command of the stage wherever he is. So he's a very talented director, Mr. Jonathan. Avery Brooks calls him Frakes. But yeah, man, Noah, just really good performance. I literally just finished watching you do your thing, man, and I was saying to myself, this guy's eyes are really powerful. Like you really do a whole lot with your eyes, man.
Thank you. Well, I was really, really worried and concerned about like how the hell to like act in this rubber mask. It was like so completely enveloping of my face and into my lips and my ears. And a lot of like the mask stuff is either like it's like with some of like the earlier like Discovery stuff, like with the Klingons, they can make these really big faces and sort of have these like big character, and even Bill Irwin playing Segal on the previous episode was able to kind of make these big expressions. But I was really struggling with like how to approach playing somebody who's like more reserved in this mask, because like so often that's like these subtle facial features which I couldn't communicate. And I actually was I mean, I literally got on set and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. This is going to be a disaster. It's just going to look like some like guy trapped in a mask. And I luckily had my early scenes with David Ajala, and I was watching him and I was like, dude, you're so good at this. How are you doing this? And I was just like, oh, he's just like sort of doing everything with his eyes. And I was like, well, maybe if I just steal everything he's doing, just like let this mask sort of tell a story and try and tell like the emotional story with the eyes, then maybe it might come through. So I really, really appreciate that comment, because that's definitely what I was going for. And that's just makes me very, very happy to hear that. So thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, you tell the whole story with your eyes, and it's like it's such a good window into who you are and your character. And I thought to myself, this guy's so expressive. He can say so many things with just his eyes, and I'm glad that you found your comfort zone, because a lot of actors with all that stuff and the wardrobe and everything, it becomes restrictive more or constrictive. Um, but you have managed to really sell me on your character.
Thank you, man. That means so much to me. Thank you. That's extremely high praise, which I take very, very dearly.
So what Cirroc is trying to say is what Malissa and I were hinting at, which is we demand more Rin in season 4, and we won't quit until it's probably not very likely.
He's vaporized, man. He is dust floating.
He got vaporized.
All season 4, people are going to be like, "Oh God, something just flew in my nose. Like, what is going on? There's something in my eye. It's just my particles."
I got some Rin in my eye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a tough thing to watch. I'm like, okay, she finally showed how cold-blooded she is when she blew you away like that. I said, oh wow. And what a huge gun, right?
I know, those guns are really, really big, and they also, it's like there's like a huge hole on the top too, so that must really be a serious laser blast right in my face. I'm glad I didn't have to suffer though. I didn't do like a full-on, heart stop, laying on the floor.
Yeah,
It was just a poof.
Yeah.
You're gonna go out. That's the way to go out, man. It's pain-free.
Yeah.
I basically like kind of told her to, kiss my butt, and then she blew me up. And I'm like, whatever, that's good. I'm happy with that.
I think it was coming. It was overdue. It was about to come. I was like, okay, she's keeping him around. But eventually it came. I have a question for you though, because one of the things when I'm watching you, I think that you're really tall. So I just have a question. How tall are you?
Yes.
So
yes, that's a good question.
I am about 6'4" without shoes.
Okay.
Those shoes they put me in were about an inch heels. So I was about 6'5" that day. And Janet was wearing heels, but she's probably like 5'4". So I was very much like looking straight down on her. And like, Doug is very tall. Doug Jones is very tall. And when
Right.
he's got his boots on, he's about 6'8". But I really felt like even like then we were like pretty much nose to nose, which makes me what I like to call freak tall. That kind of tall where you're like, damn, that dude's really disgustingly tall. So I look at myself and I'm looking there and I'm just like, man, your arms are like scraping the floor. You're so lanky and bizarro looking.
No, I'm 6'4" myself and so I was looking. I'm like, this guy's got to be tall. There's no way.
Tall
Yeah.
recognize
No-
tall. Tall
I
recognize
recognize.
tall.
Well, every time I'm watching these
Yeah.
scenes and you're a full head above everybody else, I'm like, how
Yeah.
tall is this guy exactly? It's kind
I
of
know.
tough to tell, but
I'm
yeah.
trying to do a lot of hunching too, so I don't sort of become like this like domineering weirdo in the background. So I'm kind of looking down and
And I,
slouching.
no, I hope you don't take offense to this because it's not meant to be. But I actually thought you were older. And
No,
now
you know
meeting
that
you, yeah,
that mask makes me look quite a bit older. I thought that
Mhm.
same thing putting it on. There's like its features are sort of more gnarled. He looks to be, I mean, I don't, age wise, I would definitely think like, oh, maybe like early 40s or something
Right.
like that,
Mhm.
yeah,
I had that
yeah.
same thought. So I'm glad it didn't come off like, youthful old me and, playing some old decrepit man. No, I had that same thought when I put the mask on and I was like, how old am I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely
Yeah.
works better that way because otherwise, yeah, if you were some sprightly young guy, it wouldn't work as well for you to, because the character has like experience and knowledge
Yeah.
and he's
Right.
kind of battle hardened.
Yeah. I think that's great, and I'm glad that when I took the mask off, it wasn't like put it back on, So I appreciate that.
I'm looking at the backdrop behind Ryan, and I'm thinking to myself, did they do something to your cheekbones on the prosthetics?
Yeah,
What,
you can see I've got no cheekbones at all. My I'm just sort of like an egg is my face compared to
no,
those.
no.
So
But you have these really sharp, like defined.
well, that's what I mean. Like that
Yeah.
mask is super thick. So those cheekbones are just built out, all of
Okay.
those features are completely built off of the mask. Like the chin, the neck, all the stuff. And those cheekbones are like maybe an inch thick. So like if I were to move my face, they wouldn't really move at all because they were so thick. So yeah, that's just the way that they kind of reconstructed the mask every time and sort of reimagined the Andorians sort of in this future. They've got a little bit more definition or like
Mhm.
grizzledness in their faces.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't want to hog all the questions, guys. Sorry, I just popped in and like
Not at
popping
all. No, this is fun. I did want to ask, unless Malissa, you had something you wanted to throw in there.
I was just gonna say, and it is a different mask every time, right?
Yeah, so like
Mm.
the way that they do it, which I'm sure you guys know, but it's like they build, they sort of like 3D print a mask that is like vaguely light blue, like it's not even the color, and it's in maybe 3 or 4 different pieces. So there's the front, the top, the back, and then a lip that goes on as well. And then they kind of like hand paint it to actually give it color and texture. And then when they're done, they just tear it off your face like a Band-Aid and start from scratch the next day.
So these are 3D printed?
I
They're
think
3D printed?
so. I think they're
Wow.
printed in some
Yeah.
way.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
know.
my question was about that was Ken Mitchell. I just want to make sure that
That
I'm
is
not
definitely
saying
Kenny.
things.
Yeah.
How happy, Cirroc, how happy were you when his glorious, beautiful face popped up?
Oh man.
And on top of that he totally killed it.
Oh my god.
Like, I was
Yes.
so happy with the performance on top of the fact that just he's there and, makes me feel good that Star Trek is taking care of its people and recognizing, what we're all hoping, that Kenneth Mitchell can come back in some way or another and be appreciated for who he is. But on top of that, this wasn't like Star Trek throwing a friend a bone. This was like Kenneth Mitchell knocking it out of the park. And I was just blown away by his facial reactions and all that. Anyway, what was your question? Or was that it? Was it Kenneth Mitchell?
I did want Noah to talk a little bit about working with Kenneth and and that special wheelchair type thing that they built for it. Yeah.
It was so special for me because I've known Ken since the beginning, since season 1, We were hanging out all the time, and we'd see each other all the time. We'd go out and party and do all the things, and he's obviously super close with Mary Chifo as well, who I'm very close with because we were at school together. So I just knew him really well and have known him through this whole kind of journey he's been on. And I didn't know he was going to come back until I was getting getting costume fit for this episode. I looked down and there's his costume like mock-up with his face, and I was like, holy moly, like he's coming back. It's so cool. So I was just so excited to get to be around him. And I don't know the ins and outs of the chair because it was like a thing, but they essentially like custom built him this wheelchair, which was like sort of at like raised up off the ground. It was controlled by like basically a props person off screen, like maneuvering him. And then they it was on wheels, and then they CGI'd the wheels out. But it was just incredible what they did and how they included him and how they wrote for who he is. I just thought it was so beautiful the way that they incorporated it into the story and sort of made him this kind of pivotal figure,
Totally.
It was just awesome. And it was just so great to get to hang out with him on set. He was so happy to be back. Everybody was so happy to see him. It just was just such a great energy, especially that, my death day was like such this amazing energy because like I was sort of finishing my journey and Ken was back and so many people were there, and it was me and Janet was in her prosthetics too. So it was just a really, really exciting, awesome day. And he did do such a good job too,
Yes,
I was
absolutely.
blown
So
away
good.
by that performance. It was just fantastic, it was just felt like he really brought everything he had to that role in just an amazing way. I was totally blown away by it because I didn't really get to see him shoot anything other than a little a little cut on the day we were all together. So getting to see
Right.
those scenes with him and Anthony were just absolutely fantastic.
One of the little details that he did, and like a good sign of a really adept actor, is like these little details that they do. And you kind of touched on it when you mentioned the props guy moving the chair around. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, okay, obviously there's somebody, a props guy that's moving this chair because Kenneth isn't doing it. But in his acting, he made sure to, with his head and his eyes, anticipate where he's going, as if he's showing us, I'm controlling this chair with my mind. Like when he says something and then he goes, and then it goes off.
Yeah.
It gives us the feeling that this man is controlling this chair and it's going off. You have to take yourself out of the show to actually realize that it's a props person. So that was like a really good attention to detail there.
Yeah, I was completely fooled that he was controlling that chair. He was in that spot in my head.
Yeah,
perfect.
I didn't even think about it. You're right.
Yeah.
What I was most impressed about was the words that they actually put into the script. I like the fact that he, in the story, is talking about having a genetic disease, right? So he's talking about himself in the story, and then he mentions his kids, right, and how much his kids mean to him, which in real life his kids mean a lot. I mean, everything to him, and just to we couldn't have a better guy to root for than Ken Mitchell, because he's such a good guy, man. And I'm glad that you guys were able to share this screen time together, because I think he's become a pivotal part of the storyline now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And he just really was able to incorporate all of these elements, the story elements, and sort of like the elements that are written for him, and not also like kind of miss it. He's still like totally in the moment in this incredible way. And I just thought the writing was so beautiful in the way that they sort of tied everything together.
Yeah.
It was clearly written with him in mind.
Yeah.
And if he was unable to do it or didn't want to do it, it would have been a totally different kind of character. But yeah, I thought the same thing, where they really kind of told the story of Kenneth Mitchell within that character, and it was really a beautiful thing to see Kenneth delivering those lines with conviction. But sorry, what were you saying, Cirroc?
Yeah, no, I was saying something, exactly what you were saying, which is where the lines are. But I was going to ask you, Noah, about this school that you said you guys all went to, because that kind of piqued my interest a little bit.
Yes, me and Mary Chifo and Mary Wiseman all were at Juilliard together.
Oh,
We were
wow.
all in the same class at Juilliard, and we all graduated together. And so, like, we graduated.
And that class was called Star Trek 101. And
I wish. It's funny because in our fourth year at Juilliard, we kind of got like our own dressing room. Like the fourth year guys got their own dressing room, and I bought this like really crappy like TV that had like a VCR, and the only thing I bought for the VCR was best of Star Trek episodes. So I would just put it in, and everyone in the dressing room was like, I don't know why I'm watching this, but it's here, so I'm going to sit down and watch it. So in my own way, I forced everyone to do a Star Trek 101 class.
Nice. Your own personal Star Trek 101.
Exactly.
You had no idea you were paving the way for the future.
True. It's true.
That's a great story.
Now, Noah, I wanted to ask you too, like, when you did get the role, did they tell you ahead of time? Did you have an inkling that your character was going to die? Or was this something where you're reading the script for episode 12 and you go, oh, well, I guess that's it. I guess we had a good run. I'll go to a few conventions, but I guess that's probably it.
It was a little of both. I made the conscious decision not to ask because I knew if they told me you were going to die, I was going to be so depressed that I was just going to like do a bad job acting and be like, all right, whatever. It doesn't even matter. Who cares? So I decided not to ask, but everyone would be like, oh, maybe. And I was like, no, listen, like I know Star Trek too well. I know I'm going to die. And they're like, well, how do you know? And I was like, well, here's how I know. Grudge the Cat is 20 spots higher on me than the call sheet. I know for a fact that if I were living, I would be higher on the call sheet than that goddamn cat. And so I knew it. And I just sort of felt like, he's sort of tied into all of these story moments, like sort of giving Book this sort of sense of like his sort of Robin Hood nature, and then sort of giving Detmer back her spark, and then in this sort of like giving Osira her true villainy. So it just felt like it was coming. But I definitely did do the thing where I finished reading the script and closed it very, very gently and then just threw it across the room immediately.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh, I can feel your pain on that. But you were so critical to the story this season, and it was important to have your character there because you are really the driving force behind connecting the Federation and their insight onto what's happening with Emerald Chain. So
yeah.
I mean, your storyline is important, and there are going to be people dressed like you for eternity. So
as long as they spend 5.5 hours getting their makeup done, I'll approve of it.
Okay, all right.
But there is a silver lining though, as David Benjamin Tomlinson can attest, as Jeffrey Combs can attest, as Mr. Aron Eisenberg could have attested as well. You don't look very much like this guy in real life. So just because Rin is dead does not mean this is the end of your Star Trek career. You can look at David. I mean, he's had like 14 roles in 4 episodes practically.
Yeah. It's a weird, especially like being a person who can do prosthetics. It's like a very weird subset of people. Like I actually had this very funny encounter with David. We're all at a party together, and I had done 2 episodes of the prosthetics, and I'd sort of found like, oh, the prosthetics people like me because like I'm not having a nervous breakdown every time they put the prosthetics on, and I'm not being like, oh, can you fix this? I just like sit there and allow them to torture me for 3 hours. And David came up to me, he's like, so like you're one of us. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he like pointed, he like looked at himself, and then he pointed over to Doug, who was like over there, and I think like maybe Mary was there, and it was like I looked across the room at all the people who had done prosthetics, and they were just like clearly the biggest weirdo, insane people in the room, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely one of the freaks who does prosthetics now. So, hopefully I'll get the chance to come back as something else. Anything but this. That's I think the key.
No, I don't think that's true. I would disagree with you there. But I do want to ask you because a lot of the actors that we've talked to have had to wear prosthetics, and they do have complaints about how hot it gets, how uncomfortable it is to eat, or other things. How long it takes. What was your biggest issue with it?
Oh, well, I was in a good position because I was so happy to be doing it that it really made the suffering better because it really is torture. It really is like an insane thing that nobody should do to themselves. You know, the first episode, the prosthetics took 5.5 hours because they had to hand glue the beard on and then trim it
Mm.
up. So strand by strand, they were gluing it to my face. Um, and I actually, until the very last episode, when I was in the prosthetics, I actually just didn't eat food at all when I was in it, even like smoothies or anything, because this lip was so sensitive that if I like got too much moisture in my mouth, it would dislodge, and when I would talk, it would kind of like billow up almost like a parachute, and it was just
Mm.
really distracting. Um, so it's not challenging. I'm not sure. Gosh, it's funny, there wasn't like one thing that stuck out to me as being the most challenging because it's sort of like just like everything is difficult. The contacts are difficult when you're outside and you're running in the dirt and the dirt catches in your eye. Your brain really thinks you're being devoured by like a squid or something, so it really shuts down because there's just like so much physical stimulus on your head because it's really glued on your face. So I found it very difficult to think. uh I was on set at one point with Mary, and we had gotten some email about like a wedding invitation. She's like, hey, can you reply to that? And I just said like, I actually can't.
Not right
I can't
now.
type and eat, and while we were shooting 312, there's like a scene where I'm supposed to like go to the table and grab a gun or something like that, and I like stood and walked. I was in the moment, and then I just like stood there, and Jonathan was like, no, what are you doing? You need to like walk over and get the gun. And my body was just like, no, you're not, you're done. I think you're dead, so like just stand here. And I was like, oh yeah, like I just sort of came back. So it's just sort of like a bizarre, intense experience. But when you're having that much fun, and when you look in the mirror and you get to see somebody, who is just like so different from you,
Mhm.
it really just kind of offsets any kind of, negative amount of experience. It really, really just is so worth it. And it's a challenging but amazing acting challenge as well, that even Juilliard couldn't prepare me for. It really is like, it makes you kind of feel like you're in beginning acting again, just figuring it all out for the first time, which is just such a fun place to be, because there's nothing else like it.
Mm.
Wh- what did you draw from your own self that you added to this character? Because I noticed there was a lot of morality in this character, a lot of judgment. What did you draw from your own?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. I think he really goes on like this journey, of sort of like coming into his own power in a way. And I really felt, in a very weird way, like so much of my experience on set lined up with what he was going through.
Mm.
I think like my second day of shooting was like there's 30 extras and there's explosions and like I'm being, told all to do. I'm trying to figure out the mask and just feeling like really, that experience, that feeling of kind of feeling out of place or being an imposter or like a predetermined failure or having all this pressure on you
Mm.
that sort of is just like it's hard to deal with. And then I felt like in a way I could just kind of put that into the character, somebody who is like being beaten down or who doesn't know how to fit in or everyone's eyes are on him and are judging him, which of course nobody on set was actually doing. It was just, going on inside of me. And then for for 306, it was like, I'm in a spaceship. People are throwing a cat at me. I'm with my friend Emily. I'm with Jonathan Frakes. Like, I'm just having so much fun and just to, like, have as much fun as possible, And then I really, really felt for this last episode. I knew I was going to die, and I actually was in Baltimore doing a play, and they had to like fly me back and forth. And it really was these like strange meditative moments of like preparing myself to like do this character death, and also sort of preparing myself to like not be on set and not be in this world anymore, which is very, very sad for me because I was having so much fun. And it just sort of so deeply lined up with this experience of this character of like, he's made all these new friends, and he's like finally sort of found himself, but he also knows like it's fleeting. He knows who this person Osira is. He knows what she's done. He's seen it all before, so he's not surprised. He's not shocked in the way that Ken's character is. And I just felt like those two experiences just lined up really, really perfectly for me. So in that sense, I didn't have to kind of, dig too deep to find it. It was just right there when I stepped on set.
That's perfect. So we have about 10 or 15 minutes left here. We will review a little bit about this episode, but it's kind of like the second episode of like three, a 3-episode arc. So, a lot of it is stuff we've already kind of covered or we're going to cover. I thought it was very cool to have Zara back. I forgot the actor's name, but he's amazing.
Jake Weber.
He was
Absolutely
so good
incredible.
in Homeland, and he blew me away in episode 2, I think, of this season. You did get to share 1 or 2 scenes with him, right?
So he also went to Juilliard like a million years ago. And it was just such a masterclass in presence. I mean, when he just started working, it was like you just felt sick in a really good way. You just couldn't take your eyes off him. He's that sort of actor where you're just sort of like, you're kind of pissed at him because it's like, why? Yeah, that's not fair. How come you get to do that?
You go, oh, that's how it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this whole time I've been doing this.
Yeah, of course. And like, that's my last episode. So I'm like, oh, I should have been doing that the whole time. I shouldn't have been watching David. I should have been watching Jake instead, man. But there's also, I mean, this episode is like very fast paced. So there's a lot of stuff that sort of gets pushed to the side. He had so many takes in a good way, and there's so much stuff he did which didn't make the final cut, so much like bizarro, weird, cool stuff which didn't make the final cut, where you're just like, man, this guy is just like completely on fire all the time, just making the biggest, craziest, scariest choices, and then also can like pull it back and just kind of like totally hit the mark as well. There's just so much stuff that people didn't get to see, which I feel very lucky to have got to have seen, with his weird deformed hand, like putting it in people's faces in a really disgusting way. He was just awesome. Yeah, he's a fantastic actor. And also, what I found very weird was usually when actors are like weird and creepy like that, they come off set and they're weird and creepy offset as well. Are just really hard to get to know. And he was like so nice. I couldn't believe it. I kept waiting for him to like stab me after being so nice. He was just a really good dude.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just thinking it. He was just thinking, I really want to stab this guy, but it's totally illegal.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he oozes like dirt, like a creep, like a dirt bag. Like Sorry, Malissa, I cut you off.
Oh no.
Yeah, no. So I wanted to ask you because a lot of people watching. We're watching the show, and it's such a cool set. I think there's nobody who disagrees that the set of the guys of your guys' show is just like top notch. When you're looking around the set, is there anything that like it's like, oh, that's cool, or I'd like to take that home with me?
I've stolen a lot of things from set, so there's not one thing that I'd like to take home with me, because if I want it, I'm gonna take it. Gosh, is there? I was on set.
Totally a joke, CBS, right?
Oh,
Totally.
you know what? You killed me. Come after me. Let's go. Bring it on. I was on set a ton, because I was there for the first 2 seasons as well, and for the
Right.
first half of the 3rd season. And it's just, I mean, I'm sure people have said this before, but it's just absolutely bananas, because I would be walking through the hallway of Discovery and take a left and like be in the transporter room, and then take another left and have no idea where I am anymore. Like I literally am getting lost in the set. It's hard to say like one specific thing. It's just like all these tiny little details, like the dedication of the ship, or like all the little different strips on the wall, or like the screens that they put up. There's so much detail that goes into this, which frankly nobody will ever see.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
I look at this, I'm like, I know that somebody literally spent like 45 hours designing and fabricating and building this thing, which is off screen for the entire shot. But just having it be there, it really just speaks to like the level of dedication from the top to bottom of making the show, and how invested people are, because it's everybody is working on it, from like the head designer down to the people fabricating the actual set. It's just unreal. Yeah. And also the one very cool thing is that the captain's chair on Discovery, when my mom came, she found this out, but if you press the buttons, it will start to do things and twist and like pull
nice.
little levers. So a lot of the time when you can have somebody come sit in the chair, you'd be like, oh yeah, press the buttons, and they'll be like, oh, that's fun. And they're like, oh no, I broke it. So that's a fun little thing.
Yeah.
Right? How can you not want to press the buttons?
And it's got a little nook under the handrail for you.
Yes, it's got the
fiddle
nook as
around
well.
A little back massage, like at the car wash. Just sitting there,
The
like,
car wash.
well, my car wash used to have it. So.
At the car wash.
The car wash.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I really like this. Your performance in this episode, and actually, this episode was great. Obviously, we still have more story. I want to know what's going to happen. They threw me for a loop with the syndicate. I thought that you remember we talked about in the last episode that we were suspecting maybe Vance was working with Syra. We found out that that's not the case.
Definitely not. Yeah. What's in those stormtroopers? Who are those stormtroopers, by the way? The black stormtroopers. Everybody's wondering. What do they call? Oh, they call them regulators too. By the way, mount up.
Regulators.
But we want to know: are there humans in there? Are there Orions? Are we going to find out in the 13th episode? Who knows?
To be honest, I didn't read the 13th episode. I was like, I'm dead. I'm out of here.
I'm done.
I'll see you guys later. Surprise me. As far as I know, there are stuntmen in there, but what's in there in the 32nd century, I do not know.
Yeah, that's a good one. To be discovered.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also to be discovered what's going to happen with Stamets. They let him out of the airlock and just floated him out there.
He was pissed.
Yeah, Anthony's still upset about that.
Yeah. What'd you say, Malissa?
I said, where am I going?
Yeah. Do you have any theories, Malissa, as to what's in those regulator suits?
Well, I just said maybe Breen.
A lot of people thought Breen at first, because they were kind of similar, but it would be cool. Oh
yeah, I think they're just getting around putting makeup on everybody. I think they're just it's a budgetary thing. They're like, look, there's only so many guys that we can have sitting in this makeup chair,
Put 'em in
so
a
they're
visor.
just
Let's
letting
go.
off. Yeah, let's go. Let's wrap it up.
We've done that before on a sci-fi thing. Actually, Tim Russ directed it, and we're running low on the special effects makeup. So they're like, just get a bunch of like hockey mask aliens. It's kind of like, they're like, paint their ears blue, and you'll know that there's a blue guy in there somewhere. It's a way to do it. Noah, here's a question for you. Besides Star Trek Discovery, what's your favorite Star Trek series ever?
That's a very, very good question.
Oh.
This might be controversial, but my favorite is Enterprise. I'm going
Nice.
Oh,
there. I'm saying it.
that's controversial.
Sorry, sir. I know, whatever, but you know what? I'm here to make
No,
waves.
it's totally fine. Totally fine.
I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to stir the pot.
Hey, once they kill you, you can say anything you want. That's how it goes.
Well, our John Billingsley was tweeting CBS today saying that he was just absolutely, completely disinterested in Discovery and this episode because until they see one denobulin in there, he's not interested. But no, yeah, Enterprise is awesome.
I
know.
love Enterprise because I feel like it's the Star Trek you can't look away from. Like there's nowhere to hide, it really is like everything that is amazing about Star Trek and everything that is campy about Star Trek and everything that is like crappy about Star Trek in a way that I love, I say that lovingly, it's just all out there, you can't sort of like cherry pick what you like from it and like forget about the rest. You can't really look back on it with rose colored glasses. I feel like it's just, it's front and center. It's UPN, it's
Yes, it is.
it's the one that like I kind of grew up watching episode to episode as well. So I have a very soft spot in my Enterprise heart for it. And of course that theme song, I mean,
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Are you an Archer fan or were you more of a T'Pol or Trip or what?
I'm like kind of a big fan of T'Pol. I think she's like the most Vulcan there is. Like
interesting.
Like so.
Well,
so...
Vulcans. If you've seen one, you've seen T'Pol. Oh, never mind.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
There we go.
That'll play well in the Star Trek Catskill Resort. Yeah, I mean it's very dear to me, and also very, very weird in a great way.
Yeah.
So
Malissa
let me ask
just
you.
Finished it, actually, right, Malissa?
Congratulations!
You just finished
it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it. Was pleasantly surprised because I hear a lot of bad stuff about.
Don't listen to
them, and it's I don't know why.
Jonathan heard that I was an Enterprise fan on set, and he sort of like came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I heard you're an Enterprise fan," and just sort of like stared at me, and I was like, "Yeah." And he said, he looked at me like I was not okay.
Did he say, I was in the last episode, right?
I think that was in his eyes. He's like, "Are you going to say something about it?" And I was like, "No, sir."
Yeah, Jonathan, he can be intimidating too, man. But he's such a generous and just a good, fun guy to be around. I'm sure you experienced that yourself.
Just awesome. Just absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely wouldn't want to get on his bad side though.
So do you feel like no. Do you feel like because a lot of actors, especially who coming from Juilliard, coming from a background I think that you have in stage and theater, if I'm not mistaken. You mentioned going to Baltimore to do a play.
Yeah.
I just want to have your take on this. Which version of the craft do you still like more?
Oh well, I mean, come on, it's just not going to get better than like being in an action movie TV. You know what I mean? Like really, being in a play is great, whatever. But like on TV, you can just kind of like whisper and do nothing, and it's great. And then they're like, hey, when you're in a play, when I was in Baltimore, it's like, oh my God, there's all these people watching me. I have to really focus and like I'm in the moment and like, oh, they're laughing and I have to stop, or they're booing and I have to stop or whatever. But when I came on set, they were like, okay, so like here's 30 people. You have to lead them to the other side of this thing there. You can't get hit by these fireballs. If you do, somebody will get hurt or the plastic will melt to your face. So like, good luck. So you don't have to act. You know what I mean? You are like focused on it. You don't have to be like, oh, I need to like activate my imagination so I don't get blown to pieces. You're just like in it. It just doesn't get better to that. It just, maybe somebody would get tired of it doing it for that long, but I just really felt like a kid, where it was like, I felt like I was back in that, just pure imagination, getting, even being on the ship, it's like I could go over and touch it. It's right there. I don't have to like do all the kind of extra mental work. So it just doesn't get better than that. Sorry, theater. I know you're having a hard time right now, but more explosions and then we'll talk.
Do you see writing, producing in your future?
I actually do. You know, I've written some stuff and I'd love to produce. I think like, you know, in the sort of new world of acting, producing, I'm sure you guys know this as well. It's sort of, you have to be a multi-hyphenate to kind of break into certain levels of access, you know. I'm sort of like getting more and more engaged in type 1 diabetes because I'm a type 1 diabetic. I did like a fundraiser that raised about $4,500 for a kind of smaller organization that does like advocacy and litigation and stuff like that for insulin affordability and availability. And I'd love to kind of create some stuff around that, you know, to kind of in a very Star Trek-y way bring some understanding of what it's like to not be able to afford your medication, which is something that I think is not limited to, you know, diabetics in the United States. I think anybody who has been to a hospital who lives in the United States has that moment where they open their bill and they cross their fingers, you know? So I think there's some stuff which I hope to do. And, you know, in a year that's been really, really difficult for so many people, so many actors, having this to kind of buoy me personally I'm just like so grateful for, because it's so easy to kind of lose hope right now, you know. So I've just been really, really grateful for this moment, you know, kind of looking forward to the rest of the stuff that I want to do in my career.
Yeah.
Before we go, are we going to see you at any conventions someday when they open back up and the world goes back to semi-normal?
I so hope so. You know, I mean, I just think I would have so much fun. I'm sort of in this weird sort of like half fan, half on the show, half married into the show kind of thing, you know, that I just think if I get to go to a convention, I don't think there's going to be anybody having more fun than me. So I really
know. I don't know. There's some people having fun at these conventions.
I mean, I've been as a fan, so I know how much fun my mother has had at these conventions. Yeah. So you know, she's sort of my barometer. I think if I'm having as much fun as my mom when she meets you or, you know, whomever, and she starts to cry, then I'll know that I'm having a good time.
Oh, that's perfect. Virtual TrekCon coming up. We might have to have you on.
I'm there.
All right.
That's a convention you can go to. What am I talking about? Exactly. What do I even think?
Exactly.
That's a convention you're part of right now, in fact.
There we go.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see you. The three of us like to frequent Star Trek Las Vegas because it's kind of the biggest and best in the world. We like to think. Hopefully we'll see you there. I remember the first time Mary Chieffo was there, before Discovery even aired the first time, and she embraced the hell out of it. Like she was, so I imagine you're going to be like that the first time you're there, where you're out there and you're like, here I am, everybody. Yes, it is I. Here I am.
Mary
Step right up.
Mary is so my model for like how to interact with the fans. You know, she's just the best. She's so sweet. She's so welcoming. She is so much more patient and is so much nicer than I am too. So I don't know if I can really meet her expectations, but I will definitely try.
Just do what Cirroc does and put a sign on your table that says, be back in 10 minutes.
And then come back.
But I'll never let you know when that 10 minutes starts.
Every time you go there, it's 10 minutes from then.
From the time you read the sign.
Anyway, so we do have to run. Guys, any final thoughts on the episode?
No, my final thoughts is that it was really great to meet you, Noah. You know, and I look forward to seeing you back on again, because I know they're going to bring you back when you do a fantastic job as you did. It's just inevitable. And I also look forward to seeing you when the conventions open back up and we can be face to face.
Man, I really, really appreciate that. It means a lot to me, especially coming from you. So, you know, I'm just like,
we're eye level, 6'4", man.
we see eye to eye on these things.
I've been waiting for you, man.
He's going to be a Kelpian in season 4.
I mean,
and then a Klingon in season 5.
I've got to be. You know what? Maybe
Yeah.
there should be a
Could be.
whole new tall race just for us tall people.
So keep us working. Yeah.
Italians.
Yeah.
Italians, yes.
But thank you
That's
guys for having me. I really, really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. By the way, everybody at home, you can start calling him Noah AK. How cool is that? Let us know, by the way, in the comment section. Do you think Noah AK is a cool way to go? We were talking about that beforehand. Melissa and I were like, yeah, dude, that's awesome. Noah AK is cool.
Especially was very excited by it. Melissa above all.
Oh, yes. I had huge opinions about it.
She told me my regular name sucked. It was pretty rude, but it was okay. I was like,
she didn't say sucked. She said terrible.
Sorry.
Whoa, Melissa.
So his regular name vexed me greatly.
There you go. Yeah.
Noah AK.
That's the word.
Way to go.
Anyway, Cirroc, and then we went into a whole Andrei Kirilenko thing with the AK-47, but we'll have to catch you up on that later. So much fun.
Cool.
Anyway, Noah, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to have you, and it's been awesome seeing you all season long. And we do hope and expect that you'll be back in the Star Trek universe in some way at some point, even if it's just, the new fresh-faced lieutenant human. They're gonna make you shave your face and get a mohawk.
They'll put me in a human mask for the fresh face.
That's funny.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much. We do hope to see you again sometime soon, whether on screen or in person or with us as a guest again.
Absolutely.
Love to have you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. And everybody at home, make sure you put a shootload of, we already cussed in this episode, a shitload of comments below saying what a great job he did in your fond farewells and what kind of alien you'd like him to play in the future.
I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all very much, and we'll catch everybody next time. Until then, always remember the 7th rule.